Vitamin B3 or niacin is also very important in the whole cellular respiration process, and they help the cells be able to use the hydrogen that we take in. A deficiency of vitamin B3 is called pellagra, and it used to be seen quite a bit in this part of the country because the southern United States being very mountainous in a lot of areas, sometimes the only crop that could be grown properly was corn, and that was your main grain available. And even though everybody loves a good, corn on the cob or cornbread or all the different other substances, there's only a certain amount of nutrition that you can get out of corn, and it's not a real great source of niacin. So you used to see a lot of endemic pellagra in the American South. The sources of vitamin B3 are lean meats, peanuts, the yeast that comes in breads, the bran and the wheat germ in different cereals. So your whole grain cereals and whole grain breads are very valuable. If you're looking for whole grain bread, you don't want to go with just something that says wheat bread. You want to look for 100% whole grain. They can only say that if they've left in the original grain. A lot of wheat breads, unfortunately, is just white bread with some brown food coloring in it. And so you have to look for that 100% whole grain. Eggs and liver, not necessarily together, but they are good sources. Red meats, there's your whole grains again, and enriched breads where they've gotten the whole grain out, but then they've added a synthetic vitamin B3. And your body does not know the difference ultimately between natural and synthetic. So any vitamin supplements that advertise themselves as being, 100% natural, they're really not any better for your body than anything else. And your body will get rid of whatever it doesn't need. Pyridoxine is pyridoxine. That's our next vitamin, vitamin B6. And your body's just going to say, oh, pyridoxine, I need a certain amount of this. And they're going to get rid of whatever you don't need. Now, too much niacin is going to cause flushing, a redness all over the body, a sensation of heat, and itching if you take niacin in pill form. So it's best if you have to take niacin. And it has been shown to help control cholesterol. We'll talk about that in chapter 8. But if you take niacin in pill form, you want to take a timed release niacin because, especially when taken with an acidic beverage like juice or cola, it causes rapid vasodilation, and you're going to actually almost feel like you have a rash going. This is a picture of somebody with pellagra or a vitamin deficiency. They end up with what's called sock and glove rash. All parts of their body that are exposed to the sun will break out in a real ugly rash, and you'll eventually have fatigue, very, very hard to work, and think when your central nervous system is deprived of this very valuable nutrient, vitamin D3 or B3. So you can see if you ate a lot of corn or drank a lot of corn products, you would lose the advantages of having other grains, and you'd be short in niacin. And it really made it difficult for these subsistence farmers who were able to grow corn and not much else. They were battling, bad soil, poor yield, plus the signs and symptoms of fatigue. So it was very difficult for these folks in this part of the country at one time because of nutritional deficiencies. So there's our pyridoxine that I was just talking about, vitamin B6. Pyridoxine hydrochloride is the chemical name. Another water-soluble B vitamin, another B vitamin that works as a coenzyme and helps us use up the proteins, fats, and carbs we take in. There is a vitamin B6 anemia that we can end up having, so it's important to have enough vitamin B6. Sometimes somebody can end up with a vitamin B6 deficiency because of an inborn error of metabolism. And so then you have what's known as vitamin B6 dependency. Your body is dependent on outside sources of vitamin B6, and if you take it away, there can be withdrawal and resulting rebound deficiency. So signs of anemia and other things that show up with a vitamin B6 deficiency can be very debilitating. It's common to have a low-level deficiency if you're elderly, if you're pregnant or lactating, women who are on oral contraceptives, alcoholics for the reasons I've already said, and anybody with a poor quality diet can have kind of a low-level vitamin B6 deficiency. But if you're born without the ability to metabolize B6, then you're going to have a severe deficiency that can cause severe anemia and other problems, and you have to have constant supplementation. There are no side effects to taking B6 unless you take excessive doses and then stop taking it, and your body becomes dependent on it, especially if you have a deficiency and you can't get it from other places. Oral contraceptives can lead to not enough B6. The medicine levodopa, which we will talk about, it's a synthetic dopamine that we will talk about in chapter 9. Levodopa can neutralize the central nervous system effects of B6, so you kind of have to watch your intake when you're taking meds for Parkinson's disease. Like we talked about, there are positive drug interactions, and one of these is if you take a strong antibiotic called chloramphenicol, it's possible to have a swelling and inflammation of the optic nerve, and by taking B6 along with the chloramphenicol, that will help prevent that. So that's one example of a positive interaction. Like any B vitamin, important to keep B6 in a tightly sealed container. Keep it away from light, and you will find that that is true of every med on the face of the earth. You know, keep it tightly sealed, keep it away from light. Dietary sources of B6, there are plenty of them, luckily. So yeast that causes fermentation, so your breads, beers, anything like that. Wheat, corn, egg yolks, which generally the yolk of the egg usually contains the most nutrients. Liver and kidney meat, so your organ meats again. Muscle meats, so your dark meats, like chicken and turkey. Milk, vegetables, whole grain breads, whole grain cereals, and then soybeans have a lot of B6. We lose a lot of B6 in food preparation, so just freezing it can cause 20% loss of the B6. And when we mill our wheat and we grind it and discard the wheat germ that tends to be kind of thick and hard to chew, you lose 90% of your B6 when you get that nice soft white flour.